Hi, my name is Darren, and this is going to be the first video that I do for the year. And for the whole year, I spent time working or reading or following up on the African issues and doing a lot of current affairs on the African continent. And today is going to be crazy. So I'm going to award my best presidents on the African continent. I'm only going to do 4. I was debating about 5 and I was struggling with number 5 here and there. I told myself, no, let me not struggle with number 5. I'm going to do only 4. And these presidents, for me, others have achieved quite a lot. Others have played such a chess game that I've never seen and are still managing to be president. So let's start with this. Number 4 for me is Ruto. Yeah, I know this is a little bit controversial, but the president who takes the 4th position for me on the African continent is President William Ruto. And here's the thing: despite the pressure from the Gen Zs and people protesting, these impeachments, just the whole chaos that has been happening in the country of Kenya, Ruto is resilient, very resilient. And he has a way of agreeing with you, and he still does his thing. That guy, respect him. I mean, first of all, let me applaud him. Apart from these whole protests and everything, I think the Kenyan shilling has actually stabilized very, very well. I remember the times I used to go to Kenya quite often, even when he was president, by the way. And the shilling at that time when he had just taken over power, the exchange rate I was getting was way better from my currency compared to now. Now it used to go up to even 24. Now pushing it back to 32. Honestly speaking, it's not easy. It's really not easy. And well, one would say, man, times are very difficult. The cost of living is high and all these things. But if you follow keenly, man, getting those jobs that he got for the Kenyans in Germany, if you look at Africa at a whole, it's not something you can celebrate too much and say it's a good thing to get jobs for Kenyans abroad. It's kind of you're promoting slavery. But there are countries that cannot even secure such a deal. And the best those countries can do is just to sign some bilateral agreements with the other countries on some labor agreements. And that's it. So it's up to you to go and find a job in that country. But if there's a process to actually find 180,000 Kenyans, giving them an opportunity to go and work abroad in a very nice formal way, you're not going to hear about they were treated as slaves, being thrown over the balconies, like the things we hear, the documentaries you guys have watched. And I'm thinking, okay, and here's what caught my attention. He knows how to take a moment. He knows how to do it. When Raila died, you should see how Ruto treated this whole situation. Gave him a state burial, even when he was just a former prime minister. Okay, but in that capacity, he was buried in a capacity that no president in Kenya has ever gotten. No president who has died, not even Kibaki, got that send-off that he gave Raila Odinga, and even getting the national stadium and calling it Raila Odinga Stadium. Let me tell you, he even gave him the highest honor in Kenya. And guess what? He got into the hearts of people. That is a smart move on a chessboard. And every time I would think, this guy is gone. No, he was not going anywhere. That's how amazing he played this game in 2025. And I think number 4 for me will go to President Ruto. In number 3, I'm going to give it to Traore, Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso. Now, the reason I put him number 3, people would expect maybe I'm going to put him number 2 or number 1 because he has been the guy, the blue-eyed guy of Africa. Well and good. But for me, the fact that he came as a, he's still considered as a junta president. He came by the gun. That I will push him below because no one elected you. You forced yourself onto people. But even when you forced yourself on people, you did amazing things, President Traore. I mean, one, the economy has stabilized. You refuse to take loans to develop the country. You're using the resources of the country to develop the country. President Traore has, gotten the first airplane for Burkina Faso. The factories, those tomato factories that were created domestically, instead of exporting tomatoes, you're saying let's give them value, tin them up, and then export them. Gold mining. The road constructions that are happening. Actually, the construction that is happening in Burkina Faso is quite an amazing one. Now, I had to look at the comments of people who are living abroad or outside Burkina Faso and those ones who are living internally. And you can see the reason for doing that is that you may think that the people who are living internally speak out of fear and give him credit. But again, you can see the fact that even people who are living abroad, they like what they see. However, there's still some rebel activities that are happening there, which is a little bit difficult. So I think removing those pockets of insecurity out of the country will make him a far better president. So let's see how that goes. He's young and he's pushing it. He's really pushing hard. So number 3 for me will go to President Ibrahim Traore. Now, in number 2, I'm going to give it to Paul Kagame. I understand there are people out there who still believe that this is a PR gimmick and everything. But let me tell you something. Paul Kagame has also mastered the art of being resilient. Since then, by the way, it's not the first time he does these things. Despite the pressure internationally from the US, from the EU, from whoever wants to believe that he supports the M23 to cause destabilization in Congo, he has not stood down on his word. Many people would call it. I would expect maybe, you see, when there's lots of international pressure, sanctions happening here and there, some presidents would react differently. Now, for him, he still goes on air and maintains his stance that he does not support M23. He has kept on insisting and saying, look, the problem of M23 is ABCD, the Banyamulenge people. And another thing, he has not lost focus on his country. I mean, he has done the African CEO Forum 2025. That one there was on the 12th. That was the 12th edition, by the way, that happened in Abidjan. Very interesting there. He has increased his influence on ecology and also security and development. Is something that he has pushed for his country and develop. I mean, who knew that would ever have a Formula One event also on the African continent? And the things that the youths are enjoying today in Rwanda, I speak to a couple of them and they will tell you one thing, you don't know, they'll keep telling you, you have no idea what you're talking about, because they're enjoying a certain level of freedom that was not there. And given the fact that they come from a place of pain, where a genocide, which is still actually very fresh in many people's minds. I mean, 1994 is just recently. It's too recent. Millennials and Gen Zs still have an effect of the genocide. But to see that the country is developing at that pace, stability, peace, and there's a certain feel when you go to Rwanda. You can tell the presence of the president. The organization in that country is top notch. So I would say my number 2 is Paul Kagame. I mean, he went ahead. He has signed these peace deals, both in Qatar, in Doha. He's gone to USA, and he keeps on the smile he does. You could see a video of Tshisekedi feeling disgusted by everything that is happening. But anyway, he signed a deal, and you're wondering, you could have stayed home and sent a representative. But he has insisted that I have done my part to see that peace comes back to the eastern part of Congo. Despite all the allegations that and I call them allegations because I do not have concrete proof. Sometimes it's difficult to follow international observation bodies because I don't trust them. And the only reason I don't trust them is having selective reaction to different ideas. The reaction they have on Israel, the issues in Palestine, are different from the reactions that when it comes to Kagame. Very different. All these other things that happened in West Africa or in other countries, how many people have come out to condemn the aggression of USA on Iran, the aggression of USA on Venezuela, or on the aggression of Israel on the Palestinians? Very few people can actually come out and speak against it. Very few people. No one will speak for those countries, unless it's just selective. So for me, I feel like he has been so resilient to respond to those issues and expanded the image of Rwanda in a sense of, I think they now went to the NBL, or the football league. What is it called? The footballs, or they call it football something league, the National Football League. Yeah, NFL in USA. They've taken the brand there to sell the image of Visit Rwanda. They went to Atletico Madrid. They've sold the same vision to them. So everywhere you go, most likely in the future, everywhere you go, you're going to find a name Rwanda. I think he has done so fantastic in that area. And number one, this is going to be an interesting one. My number one president in Africa. I know I received backlash on this before, and it's not making good, but he had just come. I had to critique him, but the things that have been following up on this country have been amazing. My number one president is actually Duma Boko. One, he ended the longest rule of the first party that ruled Botswana for a very long time. He ended that. Number two, he's tried to bring economic reforms to diversify Botswana, not to only rely on diamonds, but find other means of making Botswana and some recognition out there. And also when you look at the social policies, he has proposed initiatives to double the minimum wage of people who are earning a salary. And see, Botswana is very unique in its way. Most parts, or most likely, let me say largely, healthcare is almost free. People go to university, you don't need money to actually go to the university, but you can pay back that money after. You know how many people would get that kind of education if you brought it to East Africa? But education is very expensive in East Africa or northern part of Africa. But for them, education is a right. You access it, whether you have money or not, and then eventually later pay. So to find an educated, a person who is uneducated in Botswana, it's simply by choice. That place is small and developed. It's just beautiful. So bringing such a social policy of let's bring in something called a minimum wage, something that most countries don't even see. I mean, where I live today, there's nothing like minimum wage. It's not there. You negotiate with your boss, whatever it is, that's your business. So whether he cheats you, you agreed to it. And many countries live like that because they believe that minimum wages discourage investors to come into the country, because they believe starting up a business in Africa would be very expensive because you have to pay certain high levels of wages. And also they don't protect very many workers in most African countries. You find that maybe Chinese companies come and then they have so many Chinese working alongside so many blacks. So instead of minimizing the number of the employees who are foreign, you find that they just match almost the same number. They double, or if not, you walk to a supermarket and you find 3 people are blacks, but the rest 10 Indians, are Chinese, and the other ones running the business. So it's a little, it's unfair to very many. So President Duma Boko, for me, is number one president in Botswana. He stands his ground. When President Suluhu was elected, he said he cannot recognize that kind of presidency because of the injustices that had happened. But he is a guy who has shown up for the country. He hasn't, whereas he travels out of the country, but not so much. But you can see that he lives within the means of Botswana. And here's the thing that surprised, and I say this all the time. It's the first time that I've ever seen a president who comes from the minority. What do I mean? The way the parliament of Botswana is set up, when you put together the other parties from the opposition, the numbers are more than the numbers of the ruling party. Now, the coalition, they're few. It means the leader of opposition actually has more numbers than the president himself in parliament. But he's managed to put that kind of harmony between him and the leader of opposition, something you don't see most times on the African continent. Most leaders of opposition are there to critique the government on anything and everything. Quite a boring thing. So it bores me. Anyway, so number one president, Duma Boko from Botswana. That's it for me on 2025. How about I see you in the next one?